There are so many new beauty releases happening all the time, so we gathered some of the most hyped products from June to test for ourselves. I did it. I bought the Jones Road Beauty What the Foundation. This has caused all kinds of controversy and discourse, so I apologize for also putting in my 2 cents. This is what it looks like. It's very oily and thick. It has a scent I actually don't mind. It's like a soft spa-like smell. I applied a pretty small amount for me with my fingers and then went over that with my sponge, and I did not hate how this looked. It's very skin-like. It felt like I wasn't even wearing foundation. I will say it tends to gather in certain areas, so I might have to go in with even less product. My other products layered on top of this fine, but I feel like I like this more as an everyday skin tint rather than a foundation base for my makeup. Like I would reach for this when I'm running errands on a Sunday morning, but not when I'm going to the club. I've been obsessed with lip oils, so I immediately snatched up this Fenty Beauty Cherry Treat Conditioning and Strengthening Lip Oil. I have to start off by saying this is the most amazing smelling lip product. It smells like cherry candies. We got this giant doe foot applicator I love. I did not want to stop applying this. It felt so nice. This formula makes your lips feel so hydrated and soft and cushiony, if that makes any sense. It's also so glossy. The color is so sheer, it doesn't really look like much on my lips, but I love this and it's definitely going in my bag. I also got the Fenty Beauty Poutsicle Hydrating Lip Stain. This also feels so good on the lips. Every lip stain I've tried has been more drying, not hydrating, so I am really into this formula. It's very pigmented, so I was careful when I was applying to make sure I didn't get the stain anywhere outside of my lips. After leaving it on for a few minutes, I wiped it off with a paper towel, and there was definitely a pretty stain left behind that was 100% transfer proof. I can see myself wearing this a lot this summer. If you can believe it, I have never tried a Haus Labs product before. They recently rebranded and I picked up a couple of products. First up, this Haus Labs High Power Pigment Paint. You can use this anywhere on the face. The pigment in these actually took me by surprise. Like I was not expecting them to be so full coverage. You need like the tiniest amount of these. It blended out pretty easily on my eyes and it doesn't dry too quickly, so you have some time to work. I am so into these. I also picked up the PhD Hybrid Lip Oil. This applicator is much smaller than the Fenty one, which made me sad, but the actual formula is really smooth and comfortable on the lips. It's more of a thinner formula than other lip oils I've tried, but I really loved how this looked and felt. This also has no scent, which I prefer over a bad scent. These were great products and I need to try more. Uoma Beauty just released this Trippin Smooth powder, and what's so cool about it is how the powder dispenses. You twist it and it releases the perfect amount of powder, which I love because my powders get so messy. The powder itself is so finely milled and silky smooth. It applied really nicely and smoothed out my under eyes a bit, so I really liked it. I've been on the hunt for a good talc-free powder, and I think this is it. The only thing I wish they had was a translucent option, but this is so good. I tried 2 products from Makeup Revolution. Let's start with this Blush Bomb Cream Blusher. This straight up looks and feels like a lip gloss. It was very confusing. It's definitely more of an oily blush formula than I'm used to. First application wasn't great. It's pretty sheer, but it does build up. I don't think I like this though. I think it just feels like lip gloss on my cheeks. I also tried the Superfix Misting Spray. I know I just complained about the blush looking like a lip gloss, but I love that this looks like a hairspray. The mist is nice, but I wish it was a continuous mist. I applied this underneath my makeup and then on top when I was finished. That's how I like to use a setting spray. It melted the makeup in nicely, but I typically like a more dewy finish, and this is pretty matte. I wore this makeup for 8 hours and I think I looked okay at the end of the day. I feel like I could still see my blush, which is usually the first thing to disappear. This isn't my favorite setting spray, but I do think it's a good, cheaper option. Pat McGrath released a new shade of her Skin Fetish highlighter and balm duo. This has a balm on one side and this really beautiful highlighter on the other. This shade Xtreme Cyber Orchid is so interesting. It shifts from a blue to a lilac and totally disappears at certain angles. This formula is definitely balmy, but not in an oily way. I got so nervous when I first applied it because this was not blending in at all, but it blended in really nicely when I used my fingers. I think for 58 bucks, I would rather get a more wearable everyday shade, but this formula is really nice. This is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Lift Stick, which is supposed to give you a brow lift or brow lamination effect at home. It has a cool little brush on one side and then this colored wax on the other. So you brush your brows up first, apply the wax to fill in, and then use the brush to lift the brow hairs. This is a cool idea, and I did like how it made my brows look, but it did take a bit of work. I think if this brush had firmer bristles, it would be easier to get that brow lift effect. I also just don't think this wax is waxy enough to hold my brows up all day, so this was just okay.